And welcome to the Social Justice Forums. I'm your host, Daren, Jaime. Anybody asks you the question, what is the show actually about? Well, we bring a forum discussing and providing deeper understanding on the issues and inequities that so many people face. We present multiple points of view, and we also promote civic engagement. So we encourage you, stay tuned. The Social Justice Forum begins now. And welcome back. The Garifuna Coalition USA is a not-for-profit organization whose mission is to advocate for the rights of Garifuna immigrants and strengthen civic participation within the community by nurturing local leadership through educational as well as cultural programs that bring community together and members from racial and ethnic lines. We're pleased to be joined now by the chairman of the board of Garifuna Coalition USA Incorporated, José Francisco Ávila. That was the professional introduction, but friend and brother, good to see you, man.
Good to see you also.
How's
Aaron.
everything going?
Really good. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but fortunately we're here, and I'm glad to be back live at BronxNet.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to have you here too, and to really talk about the Garifuna community, right? Because
right.
We talk about social justice. We talk about the fact that it affects people in communities of color.
Absolutely.
And we don't just talk about African Americans. We say there's so many people who fall under that umbrella, and one of those is the Garifuna community.
Exactly, Daren. We are part of that group that now they call the Black and Brown community, right? And in the case of the Garifuna, we actually fit both because we are an Afro-Indigenous group. And yes, we deal with social justice because we deal with the inequalities. We have dealt with marginalization and exclusion. And why not say it? Discrimination also. Right. In the countries of origin, such as Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, and even here. As a matter of fact, the Garifuna community was basically dormant or invisible, even though we have been migrating here since 1932. And it wasn't until March 25th, 1990, that New York discovered that we were here during the Happy Land Social Club fire, where 87 people perished, and 60 of those were Garifuna. The majority of the victims were Garifuna, and that's how New York discovered us. So as a result, the Happy Land Social Club fire actually became the organizing mechanism for the Garifuna community. And again, raising awareness. So when it comes to social justice, yes, we absolutely play a role in that.
You know, it has got to be a certain feeling for you because it took a tragedy
Exactly.
for your community to be recognized.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, at that point, we had been here for almost, over 60 years and so forth. And but then again, taking into consideration what we as minorities, black people, brown people have gone through the years, the fact that our history have been erased, we have been ignored. And again, we have been part of that process that has taken, but that's what you see the word advocate in our mission. Because that's basically what we do, is advocate for the Garifuna community. We started raising awareness and bringing it to the attention, again, taking advantage of the situation, the circumstances under which New York recognized us. And we were able to organize and actually fight for social justice, civic engagement. As a matter of fact, they gave us an opportunity to do that. Because we recognize that it's one thing to be erased, there is a totally different thing not participating in the civic process. And we decided that that's the approach that we were going to take. We were not going to blame anybody, but we were going to take the responsibility to include our community in the social, cultural, political, and economic development of New York City, and specifically the Bronx.
When you talk about where you are today, obviously, a long way has come since the city first recognized, we first took the time to recognize that there is an existence of the Garifuna community. Where are you today when you talk about social justice? Do you feel like your voice is being heard and your presence is being felt?
Daren, the way I describe it, our grassroots efforts, raising awareness, have taken our community from obscurity to the pinnacle of recognition. And I'm talking specifically the declaration of Garifuna American Heritage Month and that was in 2008 by then borough president Adolfo Carrion. And then in 2009, he continued, Ruben Diaz Jr. continued it. In 2010, then council and assembly member Michael Benjamin introduced the declaration of March 11 to April the 12th as Garifuna American Heritage Month in the assembly. And then Governor David Patterson declared it, signed it. And since then, Governor Cuomo has done it. The current governor, Hochul, did it last year. We're heading to Albany, where we're going to be attending the assembly session and the Senate session, and to observe the declaration of March 11 to April the 12th as Garifuna American Heritage Month. So our raising awareness at our advocacy, social justice fight, we feel that we have accomplished a lot.
Yeah, a lot has happened, and
Exactly.
still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yes.
When you look at what's going on in the community right now, there is a great majority of people right there who still stand in the need.
Exactly.
What are some of the needs that you find within the Garifuna community? Do they parallel to the regular needs that you hear African Americans and Latino and Latinx talk about?
I'm glad you asked that question and the way you posed it, because yes, the way you usually answer that question is the issues of the Garifuna community are the same as any other New York community. The difference being that we didn't have a voice. We didn't have someone speaking, because we find ourselves in that sort of strange situations that we're black, we're indigenous, and we come mostly from Latin America, so we can be, but we used to find ourselves in the situations that we were too black to be Latinos, and we were too Latino to be black.
So where do you fit, right? You know, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And that's when we decided to advocate under our own identity, our own voice. But yes, there are the same issues, and one of the biggest one is immigration. You know, there's a lot of our people who need to, get their documents and so forth. Poverty is an issue. Housing, of course, inflation, everything that's going. But again, previously we were dealing with that situation without a voice. Now we have, besides the Garifuna Coalition, there are other Garifuna organizations that are dealing with those issues where we emphasize advocacy. But again, yes, just like you said, they're parallel, but now we have a voice.
Yeah, unpack a couple of those issues. I'm gonna make sure that I tell our viewers, because they got a very special celebration happening this month. We're gonna get to that, but I want to talk a little bit about a couple of issues that you got going on, right? Talk about immigration for a minute, because after COVID, a lot of people, well, now that we're at the end of it, I want to say towards the end of it, we pray. A lot of people said that when it came to the issue of immigration, things were already bad. But now, in this post-COVID environment, that it's even worse, particularly for people trying to get their documents. What are you seeing?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are, there are people that talk about when it comes to immigration. Everyone talks about what's happening right now on the border, and I tell them, you know what? This has been going on for 9 years. This started in 2014, when children were traveling, specifically from the Garifuna communities, to the border, and then it moved on. Now it has gotten worse, because just before the pandemic, 2018, 2019, you have migrants lining up in Honduras, Guatemala, Central America. Now, in addition to them, we got the Haitians, we got people from Africa who are traveling all the way from South America, the Venezuelans, and the immigration crisis that we have right now. Right? So that's now, what I like to emphasize that Garifuna have been part of that process. So when I talk about housing, when I talk about undocumented people, when I talk about poverty, it's this group of people that have arrived. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we've done is actually increase the number of our population. We used to say it was 200,000. Now it says 250,000 because of the large flow of our community. And of course, we do know that inflow of people, that influx of people, impacts all of us.
Right.
Because let's just look at what the mayor is going through right now, trying to figure out how to provide assistance and balance the needs of the local community and so forth. So yes, it has gotten worse.
Yeah, and when I think about COVID, I think about the fact of how individual communities talk about how they were impacted, and to hear Asian Americans, to hear African Americans, to hear, and we all were. I mean, we all were.
Absolutely.
But for the purpose of show and talking, we look at what happened, in our community. We see that the disproportionate amount of people who had morbidity rates.
Exactly.
What was it like for the Garifuna community?
Well, as you know, we all know that the Bronx took the brunt of it. When it comes to the Garifuna community, most of the Garifuna men work, in housekeeping, construction. The women work as health aides. So, what was the term that they call it? So they were necessary,
Essential workers.
essential workers, exactly.
Right.
So they couldn't take off. Most of them continue to do. I was mentioning to you off camera that in 2020, I was sitting there and I just decided, let me check. And I went to social media, Facebook specifically. From April 1 to April 30th, I had identified 65 Garifuna people who had perished in the midst of the pandemic. Today, the number that I see is between 200 and 300 Garifuna people, and most of them right here in the Bronx. Because again, my people are essential workers, and they were right there. Well, in my case, I was able to commute, and not commute, but work from home. They were not able to do that. So yes, there was quite an impact in the Garifuna community also.
Yeah, our essential workers are to be celebrated.
Exactly.
And to be celebrated. Let's talk about that because that's what we're here, right?
Absolutely.
We're talking about part of that too,
That's
right?
Yes.
So you have a special heritage celebration taking place.
Absolutely.
This is the month.
And this is the month.
Come on.
As a matter of fact, we start as Garifuna American Heritage Month from March 11 to April the 12th. And actually, it's a celebration and a commemoration. Why March 11 to April the 12th? It's commemorating the forcible deportation of our ancestors from the island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where we hail from. In 1797, specifically March 11, 1797, 2,248 of our ancestors were loaded by the bridge onto 10 ships and sent on a journey through the Caribbean Ocean with no idea what they were going to. The ships arrived in Roatan, Honduras on April 12, 1797. 222 of our ancestors perished in that journey. So 2026 landed, and we spread through Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, which is where the Garifuna diaspora is now. So that's the commemoration. What we celebrate is the fact that after 216 years, we're still here. 226 years, we're still here. And I summarize it by saying, so not only did we survive, we have thrived. We're celebrating Garifuna American Heritage Month in the capital of the world, in the Empire State. It will be declared. It has been declared. Started in the Bronx since 2008. So April, we're going to the City Council on April the 12th for Garifuna Day, and April the 13th, we're going to be at Gracie Mansion celebrating with the mayor.
How often do you find yourself in a position where you say, I got to give education as to who the Garifuna community is? How often? Because you say the word Garifuna and people look at you like...
Exactly. On a daily basis. I just had an interview last night with one of, yesterday with a large media company. And every time I do that, it's the same thing. But guess what? It's my favorite subject. So I love educating people. And my greatest satisfaction is because of raising awareness about our community and everything that we've done. Although there are still people who don't know us, there are a whole lot more. We're getting recognition. People from different media are approaching us, different agencies, like local hospitals. For instance, as a result of Garifuna American Heritage Month, we were able to get sponsorship to basically finance these activities from organizations that had never really participated in any Garifuna activities. And now they want to know a lot more. And not only do they want to know a lot more, there is because they also want to be able to provide the resources that the community needs. Right. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, I think about the fact that there's so many things that people don't know when it comes to the community. Matter of fact, let's be honest. I mean, we've been doing this for a minute, right?
Right.
So when you say to people, well, you know, most of our you know, our history stemmed from Happy Land, you have to know there are a lot of people right now who are watching who don't even know what Happy Land is.
Thank you.
You know,
Exactly.
And so it becomes a whole nother education process
Right.
whatsoever. Do you ever get tired of really just telling the story and educating and bringing awareness?
No. Yeah. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm glad you brought it up. I enjoy it so much doing it that just recently I decided to submit a proposal because the Historic District Council holds a competition at the end of the year where organizations and activists are invited to submit proposals. And I submitted a proposal based on the Happy Land Memorial and what happened there. So I drafted. 2 weeks ago, we were informed that we're going to be six. The competition is called Six to Celebrate. So based on the submissions, they choose 6 organizations to celebrate. The Garifuna Coalition is one of them for 2023.
Wow.
And again, our submission was based around the Happy Land Memorial. And what was interesting was I had to, you know, document it. And I went to the memorial, but every time I have been there, Daren, I always just focus on the memorial. This time, I decided to walk the area, the neighborhood, and I realized that there's like 10 or 15 historic sites for the Garifuna community around in that neighborhood. So I was able to describe that, and of course we did such a good job that we have been selected as the one of the 6 that will be celebrated is going to be on March 30th. They haven't told us exactly when, but as soon as we do, I will let you know.
Yeah, you gotta let me know so we
Absolutely.
can make sure I get a camera crew out there and take some video,
Yeah.
bring back and show the people of New York City, the Bronx, New York City, exactly who the Garifuna community
Thank
is.
you. Continue the education.
You gotta continue the education. And what is before we wrap, I want to ask about misconceptions because there's always stereotypes. There's always misconceptions.
Sure.
What comes to the top of the list when it comes to Garifuna community as to misconceptions and stereotypes?
The biggest misconception about the Garifuna community is the fact that it's on the verge of extinction. However, I contradict that by saying that today, New York City is home to the largest Garifuna community outside of Central America with 250,000. The Bronx, where we are located right now, I call the biggest Garifuna village because half of that population lives here. But the biggest misconception is the extinction. And as a matter of fact, specifically, they always talk about the language. But guess what? The language, music, and dance were proclaimed masterpieces of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity by UNESCO in 2001. So, yes, but that's the biggest one, and we're still here now. I like to say now, we didn't just survive, we continue to thrive.
That's it. José Francisco Ávila. I'm gonna tell people what I told you off camera, say it on camera. You have been one of the greatest ambassadors for the Garifuna community for the longest time, and the Garifuna community owes you a great debt of gratitude for how you've been on the battlefield to bring awareness and to make us even more aware of all the things that go on. So it's a pleasure and an honor to have you.
Same
and to be
here.
sitting here.
Thank you.
You know, to be sitting here because, as we said, we haven't been doing this for years, but glad to have you here.
Thank you, Daren.
All righty. Well, we want to take a quick break. Got more, but we want to thank, I should say, José Francisco Ávila, who is the chairman of the board of the Garifuna Coalition USA, with the large representation in the Bronx and across New York City. Taking a quick break. Be right back after this.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, we love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
Hey, boss. Okay?
I said I'm fine.
Put me to bed, see you in the morning. With the first date, Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Thanks for hearing me out, bro.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa los hombres no lloran.
You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
Thanks for hearing me out, bro. Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad. Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff,
Mama!
like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Most hiring algorithms would scream me out.
Some bosses couldn't see me as a leader.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
I've been running code as long as I've been able to reach a keyboard.
This is what I do. It's second nature for me, coordinating 100 details at once.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
I sold them on my skills.
You gotta be so good they can't ignore you.
My magic is
analytics and empathy. That's how I'm getting clients. You have to have the confidence in yourself to show up and defy the odds.
I'm more than who I am on paper.
I never got a college degree. And today, I'm the CEO of my own company. People want to tell me I'm one in a million, when actually I'm one of millions. Stars are all around us. It's time for them to shine.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Even though we didn't grow up together, he's my favorite brother.
Hey, sis.
I'm the baby of the family, and he's the gentle giant.
What you know about Port Georgia?
Man, please, that's a classic.
You know when they say people are a rare breed? Yeah, he's that.
Sorry, I'll be back in a few hours.
Don't worry, Shug, you know I'm for you.
I know.
Go get the football.
That was my favorite memory. He was always for ya. This is a true story of me, Bridget Floyd, and this guy, George Perry Floyd Jr., my big brother.
And we are back. First Level Cafe is a collaborative effort of 5 families living in the Bronx with the intent to create a space for the community that we actually live in. Joining us now is the partner and Vice President of Public Relations of First Level Cafe, Gabriel Denis, and we thank him so much for being with us. And Listen, I want to talk about the work that you got going on over there. It's pretty, it's pretty live, brother. I want to talk to you. You got the cafe. It's economic development. It's community development. And you guys got everything from a cereal lab to an espresso bar. But I'll come back to the cereal in a minute. But talk to me about, first of all, how the cafe came about.
So, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me here today. You got me up early this morning, so I'm glad to be here. The First Level Cafe came about, like you said, 5 families coming together with the idea of, social economic development here, especially here in the My Haven section of the Bronx. And we came together with the name just by, our CEO. He's a real estate developer. Everything starts from the ground level. So First Level Cafe, the feedback is killing me, but the first Level Cafe, basically just the building, the first building ever here in the Bronx, first level luxury building ever. So we're the first building here, the First Level Cafe here, and we're moving into the butler service going in here and for the residents, the only in America.
And when you talk about the butler service, we'll come back to that in a minute. But obviously the opportunity for you guys to really have a stake in being an integral part of the community. Talk to me about how this cafe is really, in a lot of ways impacting the community.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do, I don't know if you guys checked out our Instagram. Part of the public relations that I'm doing is when we did like a video with Bronx and Ávila, and some of the feedback we were getting was great, but then was a lot of feedback that we were also getting that was not negative, but it was towards like gentrification. I don't really like that word, gentrification. I like more revitalization, where we're, coming together to say that we deserve nice things in our neighborhood. And I think that's imperative that we not only shed light on that, but we also, bring leaders together here so that they can also interact with what we're doing here.
So you've got a unique situation here where, you got espresso bar, you got a cereal lab, but from your perspective, what makes what you do unique?
Well, we're Black and brown owned. And if you come and see the space, everything is luxury. Everything we do is we want it to be first class. We want everyone to come and have an experience. I think the things that sets it apart is the experience. First and foremost.
I've ate a lot of Captain Crunch in my life.
Mm-hmm.
How do I eat it first rate?
All right, so I'm gonna tell you right now. So we have a bowl, right? We have different types of milks. So we got oat milk, rice milk, hemp milk, Cambodian milk, whatever type of milk you want. We have it here at First Level. We have 75 different brands of cereal here, and you can have whatever toppings you want, including ice cream.
And I want to talk about the white glove service that you have, because you also have a white glove service. Explain to our viewers what the white glove service is about.
So the white glove service is something that we're introducing into the luxury building. It's going to be basically for and exclusively for the Arches residents. So we're actually going to build a space where on Saturdays and Sundays, we're going to be having like brunch style buffet that will have actual butlers pushing carts into the building. And you can have it for between breakfast, lunch on those 2 days out of the week.
For yourself, I mean, a lot of work is going into this. 5 families started it to see where it is, today. What are you most proud
of? To be honest with you, I think the work, being here every day, just interacting with people. I think that's probably what I'm most proud of. Actually, when people come in, I mean, because of my age, I'm like, you own this? And I'm like, yeah, that's a great feeling. And then, seeing like-minded people that come in and they're like, oh, wow, this is Black and brown owned. I'm going to come support you. And I'm here every day shaking hands, talking to everybody. If you're here every day that we're open, I'm here. You'll see me.
All day, every day is what they say around the way.
All day, every day. Mm-hmm. Got to put in the work.
You have to put in the work. But what has been the response from the community? Obviously, being able to see this and see this new model. Because, you know, when we talk about the things that you offer, you said like the white glove service, the espresso lab, the cereals, and the variety of different cereals. This isn't something that you commonly see. So what's it been like for you and the response for the community?
I think people feel comfortable coming in here. We had an initiative that we did earlier in the beginning where we had some of the Kennedy kids, the Kennedy High School football team come in, and we given them cereal all on me. I paid for every one of their cereals, and some of the responses that we got from the kids was like, "Mister, I feel bougie. I feel like upper class. I feel like almost like this is like Fifth Ave, Park Ave." And that's just some of the responses I was getting, and that gave me a great feeling.
There's a level of exposure to that, right? I think when you say that, the kids come in, they have one expectation, but then you change the game by the exposure, by the exposure that you give. How does that feel for you? Because you are changing mindsets, right? We're changing mindsets, but then you're also setting an example of what could be if you work hard and you try.
Well, one of the things I want to express to people is that this is like my first business. Being a former educator, I think it's imperative that we show us in different lights, in different aspects, in different fields, and that in turn, inspires the future leaders of tomorrow. So I think that's what I want to push. That's an initiative. I want people to come in and see my face and like, oh, I could do that one day.
Yeah. For yourself and for the team, talk to us about what it means to be a Bronx business owner, a business owner in New York City. Sometimes people work a lifetime to try to get there and never get there, but you're there and doing it.
I think when you're able to collaborate and find like-minded people, and then also find your purpose, that helps like you push forward. Being a Bronx owner and being a Bronx resident myself, I have like that pride of I want to make it here, and I want to serve my community as much as possible.
Yeah. What can be done to really bolster equity in Bronx neighborhoods as far as businesses are concerned? If we're talking about how do we increase that, how do we do that?
I think definitely more exposure. I think some of the things that I was following, especially with Bronx Native, is like they're doing like collaborative efforts for like business as far as like business summits in the Bronx. Having community leaders come in and just come in on their own and show support. I think that helps too immensely. Like just even it's not just Instagram. It's like people coming in and word of mouth and making it like a cultural center. I think that's what's missing.
Yeah. And for you yourself, give us a little insight. If you could have a wish list of things that you'd like to see happen to help even your business to go to that next level. If you're on the first level, let's go to the next level. What would that be?
I think just more collaboration between business owners and, the community leaders. That would be great. That's what I would like to see. One of the wish lists I have, I was actually at a mayoral event not too long ago. It was breaking bread and building bonds, excuse me. And, I met a lot of people then. I was able to network. I think that's the type of stuff that I want to see. Like maybe the mayor even come here and have one of our sandwiches or even a cereal. I know he's vegan, but I'll try to have something for him.
Get that oat milk out, brother. Get that oat milk out. He'll be ready.
Yeah.
Listen, Gabriel, thank you so much for being with us. And again, much success to the first level family and the first level cafe. For somebody that doesn't know exactly where you're located, why don't you give the address?
We're located in the Arches building, the first luxury building in the Bronx, 224 East 135th Street. Bronx, New York, 10451.
All righty. Well, much success to you, my brother. I think the door's knocking.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, good to see you, man. Take care of yourself.
Oh, all right. You too. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Gabriel Denis, who's the partner and vice president of public relations for the First Level Cafe. And if you get a chance again, stop by. I'm sure that you'll be uniquely surprised and definitely encouraged. Taking a quick break. We'll be back with more right after this.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is vaping? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You didn't even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, backpack kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Is it time yet?
It's time.
Let's start time for dinner.
Oh, terrific.
Donating pet food is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill?
No.
You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kitchen now.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
I'll see ya.
After a basketball game, a black teenage boy, Brandon, reads his texts in his family group chat. Auntie Flo, congrats on the big win. Mom, that's my baby. Brandon replies, thanks y'all. In a park, his sister Maya texts, where are we celebrating? Dad replies, home. Mom texts, I got dinner going. Auntie Flo replies, ooh, I can't wait, then receives a FEMA flood watch text alert. She texts the family, anyone see that weather alert? We need a plan to stay safe, especially after last year. Ready has a list of resources at ready.gov/plan. In his workshop, Dad sends a photo of emergency supplies and texts, looks like we need flashlights and batteries. Leaving a store with a shopping bag, Brandon replies, I got us covered. Mom texts, I'll check in with Grandma and Papa. Maya texts, thanks Auntie, feeling good about this plan.
I got some batteries and 2 flashlights.
What's up, champ? I feel like you get taller every time I see you.
Stay connected.
Congratulations, Brandon.
So much.
Fostering a pet for a friend or neighbor can keep families together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Man, it's lonely. Like, going through life lonely.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music, just expressing how you feel. I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, make it into a song.
And welcome back. Families for Freedom is a New York City-based organization that's advocating for detainees across the country. Now, within the past 2 decades, they've been able to build numerous alliances with organizations across the United States in order to expand the amount of support it can offer to immigrants, educate marginalized communities, and fight against repressive immigration laws. Joining me now, we have the Executive Director for Families for Freedom, Janay Cauthen. And Janay, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's great work that you guys are doing. And I wonder if you would take a few seconds to just expand a little bit about what I talked about, because when we talk about the work that's going on, there's so many families that actually need this hand up.
Yeah, so basically Families for Freedom is based in New York City. We have been advocating against the injustices against immigrants for the last 21 years. So we help people that's at risk for being deported back to their country because they're undocumented. We just had a press conference yesterday for someone who served 29 years in the New York State correctional facility for a murder that he didn't commit. And we're trying to get the DA to exonerate this person because the detective on the case has came forth and stated that he knew that Wayne Gardine was not guilty, but he had to do what he had to do because he was working for a corrupt precinct known as the Dirty 30 in Harlem.
Yeah, many of us here in New York City are familiar with the Dirty 30. You know, we did that story many years ago, but the fact is that the issue still remains. And there's a lot of work to be done when it comes to really tapping into the lives of those people who are affected. We talk about immigration. What is your perspective on immigration as we see it and the needs of families right now?
I feel that the president should create a pathway to citizenship for everyone. New York City is the melting pot. We're filled with people from all different cultures, races, ethnicity, and to create an uncomfortable environment for them because they were not born on U.S. soil, to me, is not the best thing to do because immigrants are not going anywhere. They're here to stay. I myself are the daughter of a Jamaican immigrant who migrated to the United States.
And I know recently that you've had an event that was called the Defund Hate. That's the immigration rally. Talk to us about the rally and talk to us about the your look back at it.
So the rally represented 20 years since they put these harsh immigration laws into effect that run retroactively. So say, for example, someone got arrested in the 70s and they were only a green card holder, they will become deportable based on their conviction because of the retroactive immigration laws.
So I also want to talk about a new way forward. We talked about what's going back. Let's talk about go forward. A new way forward. What's that mean?
So basically, a new way forward is giving non-citizens a pathway to citizenship, creating a new way forward because a lot of immigrants are hiding. They're not getting medical care. They're not reporting crime because they're feeling that they're going to be detained and deported if they come out of their, the darkness. And we're telling them they need to create a new way forward.
I had a guest on just a little while ago, José Francisco Ávila from the Garifuna Coalition, and he was talking a little bit about immigration itself. And I had asked him a question about whether or not those who are in the system trying to get their cards and trying to get right, how are they experiencing many delays? And he said yes. He said not only is there experiencing delays, but there's a shortage of services. From your landscape, talk to us about that. Do you see the delays as well? And do you also see that when it comes to immigrants, particularly here in New York City, that there's a shortage of services?
Yes, there's a shortage of services. We have people who have been waiting for 5 years for a work permit, and that's insane because they're not allowing them to work, but then after they pay for the work permit, it's been a 5-year wait, and then the pandemic didn't do anything better. A lot of people left the job. I feel they should make more jobs available or hire more people to expedite these cases. New York just got about 30,000 migrants from Texas, and they put them in homeless shelters, and a lot of people want to work. So they should find a way to expedite their work permit so they can work and take care of their families.
Talk about migration, but let's also talk about deportation. We're seeing mass people being deported out of the United States, given to stricter laws, particularly by ICE and other law enforcement government agencies. Your perspective on deportation?
Deportation is cruel and inhumane. My former spouse, Jean Montreville, he came to the U.S. at the age of 17. He made a bad choice and got arrested for selling drugs at the age of 19. During the time of his arrest, the laws were not in effect that made him deportable. They used to call it a permanent resident card. So a permanent resident card back then means you have a permanent status here. So while he was serving his time for the drug conviction, they ordered him deported. He was released in 2001 instead of being deported. And then he was detained in 2005 because they made a mistake releasing him on U.S. soil. And he was sent to Haiti. Haiti is like a third country. I had to take our children to visit him, and I was fearful for my life. I was happy that I did file for a pardon when this case first started back in 2005. And Governor Ralph Northam finally granted him a pardon in 2021, and he was able to come back to the U.S.
Amazing. But there's so many immigrants that don't get that story. So many times that story is not heard in the lives and experiences of so many people. And to end up on a deportation list, to end up on a discrimination list, is because simply sometimes people just don't know what's available to them. And I know that you have some training that comes to immigrants actually being able to know their rights. And for those that don't know, why don't you introduce them to the Know Your Rights training and who can attend?
The Know Your Rights training, everyone could attend. You should never open up your door to any law enforcement unless they slide a warrant under the door. Even if a cop stops you, do not share your immigration status. Do not volunteer any information. Tell them you would like to speak to a lawyer. And if you need more information, you can reach out to Families for Freedom. We will send you pamphlets, and you can send me an email. My name is Janay. It's JANAY at familiesforfreedom.org.
And I know you have access to a lot of resources. What are some of the other resources that are available through your organization?
We have free mental health for people in need. We have social services. We have housing services. We have clothing donations. We have Metro card assistance. And our office is just a comfortable, safe haven. Like if you just want to come someplace to talk, vent, just chill, you can. We're located at 35 West 31st Street on the 7th floor, and you're welcome to just come by.
When you look at the work and the body of work that you've done so far, a lot of families have been touched. How do you feel about the impact that the organization has made within so many families and within our community?
I feel good because I've actually learned to turn my pain into power. Back in 2005, Families for Freedom was an organization that helped my family because at the time I was not, understanding all the immigration laws, and I didn't understand how a law could run retroactive for immigrants but not citizens. And I never in a million years imagined running the same organization that helped my family, but I share my story to give people hope and tell them don't hide. It's okay to go on the news and speak and fight for your family, because I look at the system as being racist because usually it's Black and brown people that's dealing with this. And we saw on the news where they were beating Haitians with whips and chains, and the president stated that he needed to investigate that. And to me, that's like modern day slavery. What is there to investigate? If those people should have been prosecuted. For a person to be in water on horses and stuff, to get here with their children, to show them That should show this government and country that where they're at is rough.
Yeah. And you're a young person that's on the battlefield and engaging in this fight. What would you say to others who are, young adults about really being engaged in this form of community activism?
I would tell young people that you are the future. Stand up, get involved, help out. Even if you can't if you came here, your parents brought you here. You had no control on how you got here. Stay out of trouble until you become a citizen. You shouldn't get in trouble at all. But if you get into trouble as a green card holder, it doesn't matter if you're 16, 17. You can become deportable because we have seen a member get deported for being an excessive fear invader. So basically, he hopped the train multiple times and he would sell swipes, and they deported him for that.
And so for yourself, as a young lady that's really on the battlefield, what do you see in terms of when it comes to resources and things available? Do you find that families are taking advantage of them? And do you find that there's awareness for people who really are going through it?
Some families are taking advantage of them, and some of them are actually scared because they feel like, hey, if I go down and apply for food stamps, they're going to report me to ICE. If I go into a homeless shelter, they're going to report me to ICE. So we just, at Families for Freedom, most of us are directly impacted people, meaning someone in our family has been detained or deported. So we go out and we speak to the public about it. And then once they see that someone's been in their shoes, they feel more comfortable, open up to us. And we use them as a example to let them know that they're not going through this alone.
When you see people who have been detained, a lot of times that's the beginning of the deportation process, or to be detained is the beginning of a frustrating process where you're investigated and held for a long period of time. What happens for yourself? Are you seeing that those who are being detained have a greater access to knowing their rights and knowing what's happening, or is it, from not knowing, you become that victim?
I would say they don't know their rights. I would tell anyone that who had any criminal contact to apply for a pardon. A pardon is free. That's your right. Don't wait until ICE come knocking on your door. Or wait. Don't think because you're free now that they won't come knocking on your door, because I've seen it happen. You can get into a relationship with someone, he or she call the cops on you. They like, oh, you were convicted with a felony, so and you're not a citizen. We're gonna put you in detention. And once you get into detention, it's so hard to get out.
Yeah. And so, if I'm looking out right now and I'm seeing what's going on in regards to immigration, in regards to families, it's a lot to contend with. What do you put at the top of the priority list right now?
A pathway to citizenship.
Why?
Because New York City is filled with immigrants. They're not going anywhere, so you have to give them a path to citizenship. When we go into these restaurants, our servers are mostly immigrants. So we have to give them a pathway to citizenship. They can help the economy. A lot of people left city service because of the vaccine mandate. Those jobs can be filled by immigrants that's willing to work and get the job done.
Yeah, we see that a lot of immigrants have actually made their way in, and was having a conversation just recently with some elected officials, and they were saying more and more have actually taken advantage in the travel and tourism industry of immigrants, because there's such a turnover that immigrants are actually taking front and center stage in the area of tourism, working in hotels and working on cruise ships and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and they will do a lot of the jobs that citizens think that they're too good to do. I mean, we have dealt with people who's re-entering after serving, say, 20 years in state prison, and the citizens say, oh, I'm not going to clean up nothing. I'm not going to sweep. I'm like, well, dude, you just served 20 years for murder. You got to crawl before you walk. But an immigrant will take that custodial job and do what they have to do to care for their family.
Let me switch fronts for a minute and have an opportunity to hear from you in the area of education. What are some of the educational challenges that you find that you're facing with your families?
The educational challenges would be language, because a lot of the migrants that came over, they speak Spanish, and we don't have an influx of Spanish teachers that's willing to take their time with the students. So I would say language is a big barrier. And for the parents, they were not able to get educated like some of us were, so they don't know how to read and write because they had to work from their country when they were very young.
Literacy is a huge issue, right? And I think that illiteracy is a big challenge, particularly in the demographic that you're dealing with. Do you have services that are able to deal with the illiteracy issue?
Yes, we have training for them. We have ELA classes that we can refer them to where they can learn how to speak English. We have GED programs where they will prepare them and teach them how to learn the basics that they need to learn to pass their GED. And it's free.
And so, greatest stumbling block or greatest obstacle, you talked about, what's out there in terms of families. Talk to us about from that perspective, being an executive director and budgetary issues in the state. What are some of the biggest obstacles you're facing through state, city, in terms of aid? Because resources, from what we understand, particularly amongst not-for-profits and those who are doing the work in the not-for-profit sector, are really beginning to shrink up.
Yeah, it's very hard because a lot of funders are running out of money, and New York got hit very hard with additional migrants. We already had, I don't want to say we had an immigration issue, but we had an issue where it was undocumented people seeking resources that's been here for decades. And then when we got hit with 30 more thousand people, the resources is hard. But we're very creative, and we network with a lot of funders, and they find a way to fund this work.
And before we go, the COVID-19 pandemic has definitely played a major effect on all of our lives. How's it impacted your organization?
Well, our organization, we have monthly membership gatherings, and before the pandemic, we would have a full house. But we still have members who lost loved ones that's scared to meet in person because they feel that they're going to get COVID and die. So we give a virtual option now. So basically, we can do the monthly membership meeting in person, and those that are not comfortable meeting, we just have the Zoom so they can watch it while we live stream it.
Well, Janay, great meeting you. Great work that you're doing over there. Families for Freedom, Executive Director. Thank you so much for being with us today here on the Social Justice Forum.
Thank you.
All right, Janay Cauthen, our guest. Well, come to the end of our show today. Hope you enjoyed this week's discussion on the Bronx Social Justice Forum. We want to let you know, rewatching this episode, you can do that. You can also catch the recablecast right here on BronxNet.org. If you want to join the conversation and also present your point of view, you can visit our social media pages at BronxNet TV. Join us next week. We're going to elevate the conversation, the discussion, bring further awareness across the globe. I'm your host, Daren. Jaime. Say take care.